Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. What if Naruto was Purifier of Darkness in Pokemon, and had Sabrina? Movie. Run. A blonde male screamed as he held a light lavender cat-like being in his arms as he and another male ran from a smoking hole that spontaneously exploded. Yeah, I know, idiot. The other male cried as a black fur cat also ran behind them as they all headed to a rust-colored bike with a huge shiny engine with 6 tubes pointing out for exhaust. The blonde headed to the sidecar that was connected to the bike. Yo, Ivory and Ebony, sit. He ordered as the lavender cat gently sat on his lap while the black fur one roughly landed. Soon the other male reached and started up the bike, smiling as flames spewed from the engine. Traitors. The two teens looked back to see a muscular mustache man glaring at them from the hole that they escaped from. Oh, he is pissed. The blonde teen smiled nervously as the cats nodded to him. As they say in my region, fick 'em. The driver said before driving off at top speed, as the two laughed into the desert that stretched the horizon. XXXXX. It's been a few hours as the two teens saw a broken and rusted train next to a gas pump. Okay, let's get something to eat before I drop you off. The driver said as he slowed down to the gas pump. The blonde smiled as the two cats got off of him, then ran underneath the train shadow to cool off from the sun. The blonde watched as the other teen hand went to a one-way steel-colored sunglasses, seeing his amber-colored eyes. The young man also took the moment to realize his friend's clothing. It was a sun-faded dark blue jumpsuit jacket with jet black skin-tight pants connected to metal-clad boots. His tan skin isn't exotic in this region given the burning sun at this time of year, and their jobs often make them use their bikes for long-term traveling. The sand-colored hair was combed back and spiky, similar to the blonde's own hairstyle. Lastly, he had a single white horizontal stripe on his face across his nose. The teen looked back at the blonde with a raised eyebrow. You coming? The blonde nodded immediately as he rushed in with the other teen to see a small restaurant in the broken-down train. A large muscular man smiled at the two. Hey, welcome, the same thing as usual, Wes. The man asked the blue-dressed teen who nodded. Double it and some desserts. Me and Naruto here got some business to talk about. The now named Wes of the duo said as he walked to the last table where they entered the booth. Alright, you know what's going to happen, right? The shade wearer stated, taking out a small device. It was a tape recorder. Right, okay. Naruto took a deep breath as he nodded. Let's do it. Wes brought the device close to his mouth before he started. This is Wes, codename Leo, of the International Police of the OR region. My investigation of the criminal gang known as Snagem just concluded in rather explosive ending. Ah ha ha. The young man laughed darkly at the joke. Sadly though, I had to bring in help to stop this activity. His name. He placed the recorder between the two, gesturing a hand for Naruto to start off. Naruto Uzumaki, resident of the OR region. He said softly as Wes nodded before watching the owner of the restaurant bring their food. As the plates came, Wes started. This is all standard procedure. Please explain how you got to Team Snagem. Right. Naruto nodded, before clearing his throat. Okay. It all started when XXXXX. I was born into a clan. We've been told to always train ever since we were kids. A young Naruto barely at 5 was running ahead of other older teens, wearing heavyweights on his limbs. Running as he threw wooden spheres at targets with deadly precision. Train. For what? Wes voiced soon changed the background to show Naruto with the kids. All were listening to an elderly woman showing them a stone monument of a small fairy-like creature. We were trained to protect the world, from people who would try to disrupt the order of the world. Apparently it's not just my village but major cities in other regions. I heard, but only rumors. But how did you get from being trained to be a good guy to snagging Pokemon from trainers? The scene now shows a young Naruto stopping in his tracks when running with his friends to see the desert of the OR region he lived in, but never explored before dashing forward. That's another long story in and of itself. You see, I'm the current leader's son. I have to take more brutal and harder training than the rest. I was going to be forced to stay in the little village forever, marry a girl, then never really doing anything until my time, if that ever in this lifetime, comes to protect the world of Pokemon. So you decided to run off and do something about it. You didn't want to wait. XXXXX. Naruto glared at Wes as he stopped eating his burger that was in his hands. You know how hard it was for me to do anything I like. He started out with a huff. I can't watch TV with the kids cause dad wants me to meditate. If I have free time I need to work on trick shots to catch any type of Pokemon with less than average Pokeballs that have low catching rates. Wes, who was cutting his steak in small pieces, nodded softly. You were stuck with Pokeballs and Great Balls. Wes looked at the boy incredulously, who shook his head. Defective Pokeballs. If a Pokeball has a rate of 1, then the ones I have are a rate of 5, Naruto explained as Wes's eyes widened. Even capturing a baby Pokemon that just hatched would take a few times. Damn, I feel bad for ya. I somehow made it to Pyrite Town, the home of criminals and gangs alike. Naruto spat out in disgust at the memory of the run-down place. Thankfully, I ran with the Riders, a group who make bikes and deliveries. The leader was an okay guy despite some of the girls doing some on the side fun for money. Naruto said with a small blush on his face. On the times the girls who wear skin-tight outfits and offer their services to him despite him being young at the time. Right, my bike was a custom job from them, Wes stated before finishing the rest of the food before pulling another plate of steak. Alright, so fast forward, where or when did you join Team Snagem? It was by chance. I'd done deliveries for them and the leader, like how I always got their mail and parcels from a long distance to them in earlier times, and great at keeping my mouth shut for under-the-table drop-offs. Naruto admitted as he looked at his remaining meal. God, I was stupid. Naruto, Wes said, trying to understand but make him continue. The leader asked me if I wanted money, power, and girls. And I said yes to the first two, but I didn't know at the time what they did. Wes nodded before stopping the tape, making Naruto raise an eyebrow at him. Why are you? I need to make sure not to get you deeper, so I'll just lie saying I didn't bring enough tapes, so continue. Anything incriminating comes up I will just lie to my superiors as thanks for helping me. The blue jacket teen declared. Are you sure? I mean, yeah, it's totally fine. Wes waved off. Go on, continue. The young man nodded. At the time, they stole Pokemon from trainers in the Ore region, and since there are no real gym leaders, office jennies, or even a proper HQ for authority here, it was easy pickings for them. But the more experienced trainers were the real targets, thus they made the first machine to steal Pokemon that belongs to other trainers. Naruto said as he turned to his left arm, the snag machine. How did they do it? I mean, how does the snag machine work exactly? Wes inquired of the young boy. Do you know how Pokeballs can't capture already owned Pokemon? Naruto asked the undercover cop. That's when a Pokemon is caught that the system for registered trainers or people who have properly registered Pokemon tells other Pokeballs they cannot be caught. Yet the Snagem machine bypasses that security measure somehow in one way or another. Wes pondered in thought. My leader told me that we are getting support from another group who wants to save Pokemon abused by their owners, which is why I agreed to use it. Anyway, the system supposedly does what it does by using the register Pokemon like wild Pokemon, which means the catching rate for Pokeballs works on captured Pokemon like the wild. Thus it could fail if they lower the damage or had a low rate ball. I see, the eggheads will learn about this more when I tell them. Wes declared before taking a deep sigh. And why did you defect? After collecting 50 Pokemon, the boss gave me a new Pokemon that was because of my accomplishments. A recently hatched Ralts, but when I brought to battle it was beyond any kind of aggression that a normal Pokemon should have. He said as Naruto took a moment to collect himself. Later I learned that they did something to it, and I had to do something. Which led you to find me when you saw me downloading information, Wes started as Naruto nodded. And lead to us stealing the machine and then getting some pretty damn good burgers. Right, that about sums it up, Wes said before picking up his drink, to down the last of the liquid before placing it down on the table. Thanks, Naruto, you've been very cooperative. I'll be sure HQ gets this information and we'll go from there. Naruto nodded at that. Right, so this is it. Not exactly, but due to me, unable to find you or your village. A sly smirk made Naruto realize he was telling him that he was letting him free. So if the crimes don't pin on you, you're free, but I need to really know where it is. Can't let you walk all the way there and need to find you in case we need you to testify. Wes explained the last bit. On my word, I won't tell anyone, not even my superiors. Wes, I don't know what to say, really. Naruto got out. How about a thank you? Wes smirked at the boy. Either way, we better hurry. I gotta send this info to the mayor in that fancy city. So come on, he said, leaving the booth as Naruto followed. Hey, your bill, put it on my tab. Wes called out, ignoring the owner flicking him off. Bastard knows I pay at the end of the month. XXXXX. The two resumed the ride to pass the desert to arrive at a small area of forest. This the place? It is. Wes nodded as the two dismounted off the former's bike, taking off their helmets. It shouldn't be too far from here going on foot. Wes, you can't come. I'm already probably going to be banished for my leaving. If I bring a cop, an outsider, I'll be lucky to even leave with my clothes on my back. Please just go. You have to get that info, quickly as possible. I need to do this myself. Naruto said as the other teen took a moment before nodding. All right. Oh here, the teen pulled a small device, compensation for losing your job. What is it? Naruto questioned, taking the small device. He looked at the object as it was a metal folded device, before turning it on where it showed a green screen that had, whoa, that's a lot of cash. He said, astonished at the amount that showed. Pokemon Digital Assistant. Wes said before smirking, standard stuff for us agents. Are you sure this isn't a fax number? Naruto looked at Wes with slight doubt. Your pay, take and leave it. Or go to the nearest pleasure house and spend it all. Good luck. Wes said, looking back with a calm smile before taking off. Naruto looked down and silently thanked him before turning away and walked, another few yards before he reached his village. Shing. The blonde flipped back to dodge an arrow that nearly got him, to see a white-eyed woman with short blue hair and a messy red-haired woman that had a dark scowl. Next to the white-eyed girl was a Vileplume. A bright red flower-top Pokemon curly glaring at Naruto, while the other Pokemon next to the messy-haired girl was a yellow-colored being holding a silver spoon. It was a Kadabra. Naruto could only sigh at the person he was seeing in front of him now. He was hoping that they would at least talk things out, but it looked like diplomacy was thrown out the window before it even began. Long time no see. Naruto smiled softly as the girls looked alarmed. The blue-haired girl lowered her bow as she spoke in slight relief when realizing who he was. Do not do that. The red girl sighed. I would have had Kadabra blast you with a Psywave. Sheesh to Yuya. What about familial love? Naruto said as the Kadabra pointed its spoon at him. She whistled, causing it to move back. Hey, watch it. You know the fam is already pissed at you. The red-haired girl said, not to mention the chief learned about what you did. He does. Well, great. This is going to be more awkward. Naruto whispered to himself for that information being dropped. So, should we do this the easy way or the hard way? Chiyuya questioned the boy, crossing her arms. And please, don't get on my bad side. You know how colorful I can get. Wow, Dad found a way to keep your sailor mouth in check. Guess miracles can happen. Naruto teased as the red-faced girl fumed at his words. I mean, Ma always said you sounded like you were getting railed like the writer girls when that mouth and loud voice of yours. Hold this, Hinata, Chiyuya said, passing the other girl her bow, and Naruto only saw a swift punch before everything went black for him. XXXXX. UGHH, Naruto groaned, opening his eyes to see himself inside of a cage made from bamboo. Okay, either this is my wildest fantasy or that my dad is. Naruto. The blonde eyes became deadpan and lifeless when he realized it was the latter. Hey Dad, he greeted lamely as he slowly sat up and saw the man in front of him. He was a taller, almost mirror look-alike to Naruto, save for the longer bangs and no whiskers marks. Do you know why you're here? Yes, Naruto answered. I left the clan. His eyes wandered and saw dozens of people watching him from his little cage. And join a crime syndicate, but I did the right thing and called the police to stop them. You still broke the rules. His father said sternly with a disappointing look. That's it, rules. Naruto glared at the man he called father. You didn't think it was because of that I left. While all the kids got gifts and fun play time, I had to work and learn how to survive better than most. I never had a good meal, because you told the cooks here to give me only fruits and vegetables while the kids enjoy home-cooked meals. I did everything and you demanded more. The rest of the villagers gave him pitiful looks at his words, as many of the kids knew this to be true. Naruto took a deep breath. I didn't come back because I wanted to, but I need help. My Pokemon, something is wrong with them. The man took a moment to nod. Hinata, give me his Pokemon. The 2 balls on the far left are the ones needed, but I recommend taking a step back. The caged teen warned. Everyone watched as the girl tapped the main button to enlarge the balls to hand-sized and threw them to see 2 beams of light summoning out 2 beings. The first was a small, quadruped, fox-like Pokemon with a red-brown pelt with a cream-colored underbelly. It has brown eyes, large, pointed ears with dark brown insides, and a triangular dark brown nose. Its paws are slightly darker than the rest of its pelt and have light brown paw pads. On top of its head are 3 curled locks of orange fur with bangs, and it has orange tails with curled tips. And it has 6 curled tails. The second was a humanoid Pokemon with a white body. It has thin arms and legs that widen toward the feet. There is a wispy extension trailing off the back of its feet, creating the overall impression of a nightgown or oversized dress. Most of its face is covered by green hair that resembles a bowl cut, but a pair of pinkish-red eyes is sometimes visible. There are 2 flat, red horns on top of its head, a large one toward the front and a smaller one at the back. These were Vulpix and Ralts respectively. Ah, some of the young girls gushed at the cuteness of the Pokemon, Tayuya coming towards Vulpix until Naruto shouted as the fox Pokemon nearly bit Tayuya's hand as Ralts lifted its head to show an empty look in its eyes. These Pokemon have been tainted. Naruto's father analyzed, examining their behavior. Before catching the fist from Ralts, with slight difficulty that showed on his shaking hand, and, more powerful than they appear, he grunted as the man moved back as Ralts stood there with empty eyes. That's the thing, they are more aggressive than type of Pokemon, even Grados aren't this aggressive even wild unless you provoke them. Ralts usually flee from people not attack, Naruto said as his father nodded. I see it, right before the man's eyes was a pitch black aura in front of him, it seems that the legend is true. Hinata, Tayuya, bring Naruto to the monument, he declared as the man went to Naruto's cage touching it. Ha! Boom! The young man looked stunned as the cage made from strong material was blasted away. Okay, that was censoring awesome. Language please. The patriarch chided the young man. I taught you better than that. No you didn't, Naruto said in pure honesty, that was Ma. Oh, was all the leader said with a rare blush. Line break. And so Hinata and Tayuya led the boy over to the monument that was in the village's center. Naruto eyes gaze over this area. I know this place, whenever a festival happens or important events come, we would gather here. Single quote. Hinata nodded, yes, but now it's time for it to be used. The gentle woman said moving towards the monument and went on her knees, spreading her arms before moving left arm upwards and right arm downwards to make a ball-like shape as they stopped a few inches from each other. Alright, time for this practice to pay off, Tayuya said, taking out a wooden flute. 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 1. After preparing herself she began to play a soft melody as the stone monument soon glowed green as well as Hinata. Naruto watched as the girl stood, her eyes no longer a pale lavender, but bright emerald green, before a soft smile came into her lips. Hello. A second voice came out along with the girl. The leader of the small village took a knee before glaring at his son to do it also, to which he did so. My apologies for summoning onto a host, Celebi. The younger blonde eyes widened as heard that name. Celebi is in the time-traveling Pokemon. Oh no, it's quite alright, really. Celebi, Hinata answered. So, what brought you to summon me today? As you know, our clan has been serving your teachings ever since the Johto Celebi shrine was revealed to the public and we migrated to here in Ore. Celebi, Hinata yawned as the long explanation. Yes, I know all about that. Now what Pokemon needs healing? The father looked flabbergasted, surprised that the time-traveling Pokemon would be so casual and carefree. Yes, my son has brought with him a Ralts and a Vulpix that are tainted with the darkness. The young possessed woman looked and saw 2 of the empty-looking Pokemon and frowned at the sight. It seems history does repeat itself, although a bit earlier than I remembered. Who has them? I do. Naruto walked forward as Celebi, Hinata leaned forward and nodded, making the young man lean back from the close proximity of a supposedly legendary Pokemon. Cute enough, the gap between his strong handsome looks with a soft yet feminine face highlights him. Eshishi, If I were a human girl I'd be on you, like stink on a muck. Or better yet, a skuntank or a garbador. Hem. The father cleared his throat intentionally to get Celebi Hinata's attention. With all due respect, can we please focus on the task at hand? Hey right. The girl looked at the boy before using Hinata's arms to grab a hold of Naruto's shoulder while the other went to his neck. Hold on a mo, she said, watching the golden aura flowing around Naruto's body. Alright, so you're Pokemon, huh? Why yeah, Naruto said nervously. Come with me, and I'll teach you how to fix this. The woman said, pulling Naruto before the green aura she produced started to fade. Whoa. Better hurry, cause the red carpet is not lasting long. Fuck, Chiyuya. Sorry. The red-haired girl blushed when almost breaking her concentration for keeping the spirit in Hinata. Celebi Hinata pulled Vulpix to her as she took a moment to breathe. Let the aura you have flow into the Pokemon. While touching this, she said, crouching down to lay a hand on the red fox Pokemon while her free hand went and touched the monument. The green monument glowed brighter as its energy transferred to Vulpix, with Celebi Hinata acting as the bridge. Vul, the fox creature cried before the black aura around it became visible as it exploded. Vulpix. You did it, Naruto said in slight awe. Does that mean? Your turn, she said with a glare, but soon faded out. Please hurry, I want to test something out. Okay, Naruto shouted as he brought Ralts to the monument. Holding Ralts' hand with one of his and touching the monument with the other, the energy from the stone transferred to Ralts. Naruto took a moment to watch as Ralts' eyes regained life in them. Naruto's eyes smiled as he saw Ralts glow white. Wait, Ralts is. It's evolving, his father said as Ralts changed shape and form, growing a little taller before it finished its evolution. It was a bipedal, humanoid Pokemon that appears to be wearing a tutu. Most of its body is white, and there are 3 ruffles on each hip. Beneath the ruffles, it has skinny green legs with long, pointed feet. Its arms are also thin with 2 digits each. It has green hair that covers most of its face and reaches its shoulders on either side, resembling 2 ponytails. Large, red eyes are visible on either side of the hair that covers its face. On each side of its head is a flat, red horn that resembles a hairpin. Kirlia, the emotion Pokemon. The father said. It is said that it uses the horns on its head to amplify its psychic powers, and when this occurs, reality becomes warped, and future events can be seen. Cool. Give 2 secs, Celebi said, vanishing before suddenly returning with a bathrobe. Smiling widely at her little test. They do float. The man tried desperately not to roll his eyes. Celebi, I thank you for. Actually hold that thought Minato, she said, dismissing him as she strutted towards Naruto. What are you doing? Naruto asked nervously as he was actually sweating. I entrust you to save what you did, was all she said as Hinata fell forward as Chiyuya gasped out. Naruto grabbed the girl before she could fall to the ground. She's knocked out, he muttered. He then looked towards Minato. Thank you, father. Was I really that bad? He said as his son nodded, whistling his 2 Pokemon before a hand was on his head. You can stay, if you want. You don't have to train unless you don't want to. No, it's okay. Naruto shook his head. I'll stay. XXXXXXXXXXX. A few months later. XXXXXXXXXX. Kirlia. Naruto watched as his psychic Pokemon slowly danced in place. Be careful, Luna. It's been a few months since he returned home and saved his Pokemon, and the village has all welcomed him back. He had actually finished his last training just to get it down, but it was boring like last time. His family being guardians to this monument meant he has to stay here forever. Another boring day, Naruto sighed to himself, until he heard a ringing noise. He realized it came from his satchel. He took the item to see it was PDA, turning it on, he saw it was Wes, slightly alarmed. Uzumaki, find a TV now, was all he said before it went dark. Whoa, what's going on? Naruto demanded. Hey Wes, he called out, but there was no response. Clicking his tongue in annoyance, he ran towards Minato's house. Dad, is the TV on? I need to watch it. Head to Commons, his father yelled as he was no doubt training. Naruto groaned before running towards the commons. He quickly found the remote on the coffee table and quickly pointed it at the TV and it turned on. A newswoman appeared on the screen. Greetings to all. Returning to the news, we have startling news of super aggressive Pokemon spreading all across many regions. Most recent cases have been Kanto, Johto, Orange Islands and lastly Hoenn. We advise everyone to use extreme caution and stay in your homes unless advised otherwise. Closing square bracket. No, the boy said as he took a step back, that shouldn't be possible. How could this be? What just happened? He tried to rack his brain for answers, but he couldn't come up with any. Something wrong, Minato said, entering the room to see the news. What is happening? XXXXX. This isn't good, Naruto. The father declared, knowing that if those types of Pokemon were out meant that someone was still making them. It's my fault. I know I captured a lot, but for them to distribute them at this level. 3 regions so suddenly. Either they found a new helper to steal Pokemon or, it doesn't matter. I'm going to save them. My son, listen. No dad, I already left the village before I knew how things work outside compared to all of you. Not to mention I started this. Naruto argued with his father knowing he wouldn't let him go. It's not. I have to, alright. I made lots of mistakes but I can't look away from this. Naruto stopped as Minato grabbed his shoulders and shook him comically. Will you let me finish talking, boy? Minato shouted. Yes sir. Good Arceus, Minato sighed. Now, as I was about to say, I'm not going to stop you. Say what now? You heard me. I'm not stopping you. If you feel the need to do this, then by all means go. Minato said, crossing his arms. Celebi has taught you skills even I can't copy. She must have chosen you as her guardian. Naruto, do you remember why our family exists? The young knew why. It was one of the reasons he left. All regions have families worshipping and following the will of the legendaries. In Kanto, I know those who listen to the legendary birds, Johto the legendary dogs by one clan while the other Uchihas, our old allies, pray to the 2 legendary birds. Well, one of them is part dragon-ish. Naruto corrected. Not the point. But you've forgotten that the Uzumaki Namikaze clans used to be in Johto until the shrine to Celebi was founded by the normal people and relocated here. Or where it has a lack of wild Pokemon and also trainers to accidentally find us. Minato said, reminding his son the reason why they were used to being in Johto. And Hoenn is Reggie's. Not much is known about those and their clan due to them being very isolated to even follow followers of the legendaries. They and its 2 dragons. Once again, not much is known ever since the war broke out in Sinnoh in ancient times, where most legendaries had to hide from the world when lords tried to use their powers for evil. Then the last 3 are Kyogre, Groudon, and lastly Rayquaza. Those clans were destroyed during said war, but given that none of the Pokemon returned since their primal age in the war, it was better left to not talk about them. Naruto listed off, as the aforementioned clans were still in contact with his father, while the rest were either too good at hiding or died off. Either way, not much was said about the other regions due to distance. Kanto, Johto were a few days' drive with a good bike like Wes or usual public transport. A bit outside this landlocked region was a large body of water that led to Hoenn, which either Kanto or Johto had to take a boat due to being much faster time to sail to from the sides than heading to or where nothing special was at. Yes, Minato nodded. I believe it's part of the larger scheme of things. Times are changing. The Uchiha clan told me recently that a few years ago Lord Ho-Oh was seen in Kanto. Kanto. It never goes outside to other regions, the last time. Minato nodded grimly. The war that broke out in Sinnoh, the man said looking at the sky. Pokemon with dark auras, the rise of criminals all over the world. I believe the age of disaster is coming. No way, Naruto said in disbelief. Listen to me, son. Arduous trials will await you. You will face harsh challenges the likes of which you've never seen. Minato warned. But, as long as you face it together with your Pokemon, I'm sure you can overcome it. Dad, don't talk to me like I believe this. Naruto said with a sigh, just. The man nodded. Okay, do what you will to fix your mistakes. And if you can be careful, furthermore, know that you can come home. he said, holding his son as the man felt sad that he finally reconnected to his son only to have him leave again. Naruto returned the gesture as he pulled away. I'm going, but his father soon gave him a bag. Is this? You weren't the first member to be fed up with rules, you know. Minato smiled weakly as his son's eyes widened. My trainer days, it holds almost all the same stuff I had before returning home. Evolution stones, battle items, berries that I recently plucked from our gardens, and all the money from my bank when I used to hold my winnings. Should be a good enough start for you. Naruto nodded, as his father also passed him a ticket. I was going to use this ticket to visit the clans in Hoenn, if only to figure out the Regi clan members were alive or dead. Minato started. We'll talk to the members of the other regions, with luck we can tell you more on some findings. Dad, Naruto said, but raised a hand. Save your thanks, when you return home alive. Minato said. Naruto walked until he left home for the second time in his life. XXXXX. Thank you for your patronage, sir. A woman in a ticket booth said, taking Naruto's ticket as he saw the luxury cruiser that was nearby. He had to go on boat to reach Hoenn the fastest. He had to pull some favors from his old rider gang to get him to the docks just outside of the Ore region to arrive in time. Well, at least I'll be prepared for the initial trip of the journey. Naruto mused as he examined his bag of the items Minato gave him. He looked over the PDA, to see no news or emails from West so far. Bump. OWW. Naruto looked down to see a cute girl he had knocked over. She was a slim young girl with emerald green eyes, dark black hair, and very pale skin. She has a strange hairstyle, with a partially shaved side, tufts of hair that resemble horns, and messy twin tails tied with red ribbons. Her bangs are on her left side, partially covering her eye. Her attire consists of a studded black gothic jacket, a pink mini dress with triangular holes cut into the bottom, and matching black and pink boots with sharply spiked heels. Her boots also have 3 large studs and an upwards pointed toe. For accessories, she wears a black choker around her neck, with a circle and 3 spikes outside of it and a red diamond-shaped ear piercing. She also carries around a small red backpack that matches her hair ribbons. Damn, just my luck for me to look like an idiot when arriving at a new place. The girl said with a slight cute accent. Naruto blushed on that. Most regions never had much of different languages nor different cultures since the old wars from ancient times. She must be from the regions that were way out from this side of the world. Naruto gave the girl his hand. Sorry about that, I didn't see you on my PDA. The girl only gave him a stoic look before taking it. It's fine, I was just trying to head for the Hoenn cruise. But this region is odd, no Pokemon in the wild. It's different from Galar. Galar. That's where the accent was from. But what is she doing here? Was Naruto's thought pattern, before noticing that the girl was standing up. I'm heading there too, need me to show you? If it ain't too much a bother. She asked, still looking rather stoic, but he can hear her pleading tone underneath her polite words. Naruto started to walk as the girl stood at his side. So judging from your accent you're from Galar. The girl nodded, although looked downwards. Right you are, I came here for the Hoenn League. To get some practice before my region's own. Galar has hardcore battles, so some trainin' might be good here. Naruto nodded to that explanation. Makes sense. What about you? Why are you heading to Hoenn? The gothic girl questioned him this time as the blonde stopped his tracks, before smiling. Guess the same as you, to join the league. He said, as he actually was interested in the event, as the girl made a surprised face before a small, but adorable smile came to her face. Good, hope we can travel about to help each other reach there. My name is Marnie Point, she said as she pulled out her right arm forward. Merci for the assistance. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, I know mouthful, and mercy back to you. Naruto lately said, missing the girl, nearly chuckling. Merci, with an I at the end instead of AY. It's our way of saying thanks in Galar. Our ancestors used to use a different language before they found more regions that spoke more of the common tongue. Marnie said as the two continued heading for the region. Two trainers both with big dreams to accomplish. How will they achieve their goals? But for now, their tense and nerve-wracking start became less scary due to how similar they were. Marnie looked in slight amazement to see her blonde friend consume so much meat in such a little amount of time. it was a buffet-style spread as well. Before watching the Vulpix and Kirlia gorging themselves on seafood and sweets, she looked down and felt her portion was light compared to their feast. The young man smiled as he finished his meal. Being a member of his clan was something horrible to his stomach. They learned to live off nature and barely ate meat or even seafood, and even then it was only in the few times they were allowed to, so leaving his home meant one thing: overindulgence. Sorry, he said, scratching the back of his head, in my family, they weren't big on eating meats, so. Marnie lifted a hand to stop him. No worries, my brother is the same, he usually eats nothing but curry almost religiously, she stated, slowly enjoying her seafood broth and lobster. To be fair, it wasn't major along with his usual habits. Naruto nodded as it's almost a few days since the cruise left port. Naruto was going to head to Hoenn in a day or less, so he was taking in relaxation time, before he was going to hunt down as much info about the Pokemon with black auras. So then, Marnie, Naruto began, what brings you all the way here on a cruise ship like this one? The girl sighed softly. I'm inexperienced, she stated, taking out her Pokeball, which she only had one of them. My region was going to start their league, but it's too hardcore for most, as many versions of battling, and to show your worth to meet a gym leader is a bit harsh in my home. So I wanted to start somewhere I can grow without everyone back home watching me make a fool of myself. The girl easily stated as she blew on her broth. So you got stage fright? The girl's deadpan look kinda made him shut his mouth, as the cute smile she had was now a bit frosty, from his words. Not that, I just don't want to go in half-cocked. So then you're training? Naruto inquired, the young girl. Like you, given those clothing. She trailed off a few times, looking at Naruto's village robes. It wasn't like his old Ore region clothing, a simple heat-resistant jacket over a white shirt and cargo pants. It was the same followers of Celebi robes, which were similar to old nomads back when Ore region used to be considered a hell on earth, when barely anyone or any Pokemon used to be there. What for exactly? Not many are used to wearing dresses. She started with a small smile, easily hinting at her teasing nature, but it was easily passed by Naruto. He used to work under Ore, strippers to your left and drug slingers to the right. Despite being very young, most of the Rider girls offer him some fun if Leo or the leader of Snagem didn't stop him from doing something stupid. And you? Visiting family might tackle the Hoenn League. Naruto easily lied, as he wanted little to no people learning about his situation. You have family there? Marnie raised an eyebrow at him. Where in Hoenn? Don't know, more like family friends, Naruto declared, as he still wasn't sure himself. The clans on those who protect the locations of the ancient legendary Pokemon often never reveal themselves. The Uchihas were the only family they knew at the moment, due to them used to be neighbors when living in Johto before the shrine of Celebi was found and everyone used to come to visit it. From that onwards, others made sure to keep their clans even more secretive as possible. Therefore he has to find the last location in the place they used to live near a desert, so that narrows it down, he stated, as many few regions have desert locations. I see, Marnie murmured, before sipping her drink. Well, either way, it's going to be a long journey before we reach Hoenn. Another few days, Naruto declared, as the two were indeed a bit. Boom. Naruto looked down as the table was completely broken when a flying magneton crashed into it, with its eyes all having spirals, the clear sign that it had fainted and was unable to battle any longer. He looked to see Marnie able to save her soup, although with a surprised look from the suddenness of that crash. Naruto got out in surprise. Yeah, turns out that this isn't just any cruise ship. This is a cruise ship specifically tailored to Pokemon battling. At least my soup is saved, Marnie sighed to herself in relief, before bringing her hands down to see her bowl was missing, to see a bird Pokemon was suddenly attacking the Pokemon that took down the table. Figures. Naruto looked and looked at the battle. He smiled as the trainers were having a good time, or was harder than most. They took battles really hard, even at times most trainers got hurt from the intensity of the battles. Due to no league or even real officials outside of the tournaments, it was a reckless place to train. Well, looks like I'll get in some training after all, Naruto said, cracking his neck. He wasn't really sure how others outside the region of Ore were, but seeing how the battles were in his case, light. The girl from the furthest region raised an eyebrow. Wait, now. Marnie blinked in surprise. The young robed man nodded. Yeah, why not? Naruto shrugged. Besides, I'm kinda bored and they gotta pay for breaking our table anyway. Wanna come with? The girl shrugged. Not my real intention to battle today. But I do want to see the scale of power in this region. So I'll come, she declared, knowing this would be a good way to judge Naruto and his strength to that of other trainers. So, hey, you're stealing my money. The two looked towards the scene where others were gathering, and rushed to see a trainer, a rookie by a single glance on the ground holding his stomach. Ha, this is all you got? This is chump change. But the rules state that we have a fixed amount for the battle. The injured trainer stated as Marnie went to him and helped him up. That didn't placate the other trainer at all, as he snarled at the weaker man. I don't give a flying censored about a fixed amount. I want more. Fixed amount, Naruto echoed as the Galarian trainer spoke. Fix amount is when the victorious trainer gains money, only depending on the skill of the defeated trainer. It's to help make sure no one loses more than necessary. For example, if an ace trainer goes against a rookie, they receive little, but if the rookie wins they gain a lot. She summarized gently, knowing that the robed teen might be out of touch with the world. Naruto only nodded, mostly because he didn't care. Even when he left home he was only interested in the now. Meaning he ate when he felt like it. Gozap and Wes always treated him, so money wasn't a problem for him. That should be something he should be concerned about later. Come on chump, battle me again. The thief demanded. I know you got more money than that. He lost. Unless you have permission, get lost. Marnie yelled out. No. The Lu she blushed due to her voice becoming heavily accented on her rage. This is none of your business, bitch. Is there a problem here? Doom. Naruto, Marnie, and even the jerk of a trainer blinked comically, and looked up to see a mountain of a man wearing a captain uniform standing before them. I didn't think people could have Gigantamax here, Marnie mumbled, blinking at the size of the man before her. Yeah, wait, what? Naruto looked at the girl oddly. Was it a Pokemon move? Sounds great. The girl shook her head, knowing she can't explain it well. Nothing. Who are ya? The man grunted as he nodded. I am the captain of this ship. What's the problem here? He roared out as Naruto pointed to the troublemaker. He inflicted violence to a weaker trainer, no offense. He said to the injured trainer who waved it off. The captain gained a dark look to his eyes. That true? The arrogant trainer looked down. Come on, I wanted more money. He challenged an ace trainer. I couldn't let that chump change be my prize. I mean my Pokemon blocks, poffins, or snacks cost triple this much. He said, pulling out a few bills. Fool, the captain roared, making the arrogant trainer stiffen. These rules were made for one reason and for one reason only, to ensure fairness. And clearly you have broken that. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't throw you out yo see and have you at the mercy of some Sharpedo. Because I'm the best trainer. I've got a super strong Pokemon, I can easily beat anyone here. The trainer said as Naruto smirked. The bully looked at the robed blonde and grabbed his collar. You got something to say? Put your Pokebucks where your mouth is. Naruto said, pushing the hand off his clothes. Pokemon battle me, we use two and see if you're that tough. If you are, then we let you go without complaints, but if I win, you give back the money you stole and we're sending your ass to the authorities. The trainer didn't seem dissuaded at the slightest. Deal. He also eyed Marnie and smirked. And a date with Miss Gloom and Doom. Naruto shook his head. No way. Fine, but if Naruto wins, you're going to pay 5 times the amount. She said as both trainers looked at her oddly. She leaned towards Naruto's ear. You need the money for new clothes. Marnie, do you even realize what you're saying? Naruto looked at the gothic-like girl with a raised eyebrow. And you do realize everyone is looking at you like a lamppost that came alive, right? You need new clothes, she said as Naruto did look at himself. Wearing religious clothing in a modern world was a bit odd. He accepts, the punk-looking girl declared as Naruto sighed. He really needs to win now. Very well, in that case, I will personally oversee this battle myself. The captain declared. Trainers, take your places on the field. XXXXX. Naruto looked at his arm. Underneath the long sleeve was the Snagem machine. It was still an odd thing to have despite the work into stealing it. Wes didn't fully trust the region Naruto lived. and for good reason considering it's where the unsavory types of the world go to be free of most rules. So he said, until we get full cooperation, better leave it where your clan and you are at. Still, what compelled him to still take it with him? Just my luck, Naruto sighed to himself as he looked across at his opponent. He smiled cockily as he threw the first Pokeball. Let's go. Seedot. Out in a flash of red light was a Seedot, a acorn-shaped Pokemon with a beige light color mask on its skin. It jumped slightly off the ground and shook its body, ready for battle. Naruto smirked as he then threw his Pokeball out. Kurama, stand by for orders. The once stealer of Pokemon yelled out, as his ball opened out to spew out a white light which showed to be Vulpix. Vulpix. Vul. It cutely roared as it saw its enemy, Pix. Naruto lifted his hand, Ember. He ordered as the fox Pokemon opened its mouth as little blasts of fire went to hit Seedot. Dot, 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 it cried out as its tip was still on fire. Before it engulfed it again, until it vanished. The arrogant trainer glared at his weak Pokemon. You got burned on the first move. Damn it, go for broke. Roll out, the trainer said as the acorn Pokemon started to spin around clockwise, chasing after the red-furred creature, as it dodged from its attack, only for it to continue to spin and once more went after the fox. Kurama, evade then Ember. He demanded as the fox Pokemon did what he asked, but the attack didn't come as it had to jump away once more. Damn, she won't be able to evade an attack with that Seedot speed. Wait, Kurama, jump and lift off. The red creature looked confused for a moment as she then noticed the Seedot rolling towards her and understood what her master meant. It took a solid stance before it lifted itself from the ground, stepping on the Seedot. Ember now. Naruto declared as he saw his Vulpix. In mid-air it unleashed the attack. Raining flames of hot embers at the poor Seedot, who couldn't see it in time to rotate away, taking each shot until it was blown away from the attack. As the fox Pokemon landed gracefully as it proudly yelled out, Vulpix. Howling in victory for the acorn Pokemon pathetically called down with spirals in its eyes, the indication that it has been defeated. Seedot is unable to battle. Vulpix wins, the captain announced, raising his arm, pointing it to Naruto. Great job, Kura, Naruto said with a bright smile as the Pokemon happily wagged its tails from the compliment. A soft smile spread across Naruto's face as he felt a warm feeling that he did the right thing, purifying the Pokemon from its shadowy grip of its lost emotions. It was censoring failure. I can't believe you lost again. The arrogant trainer yelled at his incapacitated Pokemon and gritted his teeth when he returned it to its Pokeball. Well, good for you beating my weakest Pokemon. Now it's time for the big one. Naruto felt a bit of dread as he readied his Pokeball to switch out his Vulpix, as he needed his Kirlia, knowing it was stronger and more experienced than his current Pokemon. And he was proven right as the other trainer tossed his next and best Pokemon. Come out, Makuhita. There came out a large yellow creature, more humanoid type similar to Naruto's Ralts and Kirlia. It is a bipedal Pokemon with a bulky build. Most of its body is yellow, but it has a black marking on its chest that extends around its neck. Its round hands resemble black boxing gloves, but its feet are yellow with 2 visible toes. On its cheeks are red, ring-shaped markings, and it has slit-like eyes. On top of its head is a knot, which causes it to resemble a punching bag. But what concerned Naruto was a dark glow it had around its body. A shadow aura. I may have to use the Snagem machine after all, he muttered to himself. But that would mean that others would see it. Switching out. Come back, Kurama, Naruto said, using the Pokeball to see his ally back to his side, and then quickly pulled out the next one. Let's go, Luna. The Pokeball opened up and out came his Kirlia, twirling elegantly in place as it saw the Pokemon. No doubt sensing the energy Naruto saw, Leah. Curl. It turned to Naruto with wide eyes, as he nodded. The battle between Makuhita and Kirlia will now be underway. Battle begin, the captain declared. Luna. Use Confuse Ray. Naruto ordered, as the little dancer held a yellow ball to brutalize her. Shadow Rush. The arrogant trainer roared as the fighting-type body absorbed the shadowy aura and, like the name suggested, took a running start at the physic type. Slamming its fist at the Pokemon as it caused the small psychic type to a nearby table. Luna. Naruto shouted in worry. What kind of attack was that? Fighting types don't cause that much damage to a psychic type. What in? Marnie gasped in shock, not able to foresee this. That's a ghost type attack. Makuhita can't learn that. Okay, this match is over. The captain declared, moving towards the fighting type with a spray. It was a rare medicine made to subdue Pokemon. Sorry, little guy, take a small break. Oof. The man covered his stomach when the little fighter sent its fist in the man's stomach, before uppercutting him. Gah. Hey, I didn't say hit him, you stupid Pokemon. The trainer reached to stop his gack. He spat out when his own Pokemon attacked him. Naruto watched as that black aura was now a ominous vermilion as the yellow creature again slugged his trainer hard enough to make him called back. Crack. Oh no, the troublesome trainer said, looking at the noise that made when he hit the ground, to turn over to see the shattered remains of his strongest Pokemon ball. I won't be able to stop it. Naruto couldn't help but blame the foolish trainer for his mistake on thinking he can tame a shadow or a Pokemon. Gonzap told Naruto of this state. Hyper mode, it has the killing instincts on high alert. Two ways can stop it: if the trainer calls out to it, or if its state seems really aggressive, capture it and wear it down with orders. Naruto could tell the arrogant fool was too scared to even think at the moment. Marnie, get the captain out and I'll deal with this. We don't know if it's going to go hostile or not. He warned as the girl nodded. And take that dumbass to help. I think I can stop the Pokemon if I got something that can work. He hoped that his idea worked as Luna stood next to him. You okay for this? The teen asked as his little friend gave a weak smile. Okay, then get ready. We need a few hits. I'd rather make sure we don't end up being punched into the sea where the Sharpedos are. Curl, the dancing Pokemon, gave the equivalent to a yeah. Given her deadpan, both got ready as Marnie and the trainer led the captain out of the area. This gave Naruto the chance he needed to need this. Alright Psychic, keep your distance, he said, holding his hand to make a small orb of power, something he never got a chance to do before. Here Leah, the white-clad Pokemon, shouted as her eyes turned blue as a light purple energy came from her hands and went towards Makuhita as its shadow rushed to the attack. Curl. Luna yipped as it lowered its aim to its fight, where it tripped and fell over. It glared at the one who caused it pain, but Naruto smiled as he threw the energy orb at the fighting Pokemon, causing it to fall over face first. Maku, it said, twirling its head as it spun around, being in a state of confusion. Nice work, Luna. Now use Psychic, and flung to the wall. The trainer from Ore declared as Luna smiled as it lifted his arm, as did Naruto, when both savagely tossed their hands to the wall. The Shadow Aura Pokemon cried in pain as Naruto saw it struggle to get up. It was time. First off, Naruto tossed a Pokeball at the Makuhita, which didn't do anything. Yeah, it was still registered as that prick's Pokemon. He took a moment to breath as he pulled on his left arm's sleeve to show the machine. It glowed a bright orange as it felt Naruto's body forcing it to work. The Snag machine, one of its kind from the man who created it. Naruto only knew the layman information on this. It can scramble the data that all Pokeballs have that scans the trainer who has captured it, and allow the data to be overwritten as wild Pokemon. Meaning Naruto can steal any and all Pokemon with this machine, but he won't use it for the wrong reasons. Wes might not be happy with this, but this is the only choice. I can't believe I have to use this, he muttered to himself, as his machine was now at its peak, finally finished warming up as Naruto can feel the heat radiating from it. Ma-ku, the sumo-like Pokemon growled as the shadow aura suddenly intensified and Kirlia was slowly losing her grip on it. He slowly walked to where the failed Pokeball went and playfully tossed it up and down on his left hand, before the machine magnetized it onto the metal-clad fingers. Machine, ready. Pokeball type. Standard, objective, Shadow Pokemon designated Makuhita on site. Readying Snag machine at full strength. Naruto declared as he tossed the ball with such force that he sounded in place to allow the Pokeball to break free from the strong magnetic pull. The ball was covered in a purple-red energy as it exploded into the shape of a hand to close around the Pokemon and pulled to where Naruto was. It shook once, twice, thrice. Click. It worked. Naruto sighed before grabbing it, and greatly regretted it as he grabbed it from his right hand. Comical, passing it up and down from one hand to the other as it cooled down. He took a moment and opened the Pokeball to release Makuhita. He still saw the red glow around it. Hyper mode stays even after capture or when calling it back into its ball. Hey, you stop it. Marnie shouted from behind, startling Naruto. Amazing, how did you? Naruto saw as his new snaged Pokemon started to move forward towards her, with its fist ready to attack. Wait. The blonde shouted to both his new friend and Pokemon, but it was too late as it charged at the young girl. Wait, stop, Marnie said, trying to back up, as the sumo-like creature jumped to slam its fist at her face. Kya. Wham. Comma. Marnie opened her closed eyes when she realized that she didn't get hurt, looking around her body to see no harm was indeed in her sights. I'm okay, the young Galarian girl said with a sigh, only to hear a small groan. Turning to see Naruto on the ground holding his chest as Makuhita stood in place, before turning back to see Marnie and brought up its face ready again to dish some pain. Makuhita, stand down, now, Naruto yelled out as his voice showing dominance and confidence caused the red aura to fade into black, causing the rampaging Pokemon to stand in place, totally like a statue before he took out its new Pokeball to recall it. Return. Marnie watched in amazement of the Pokemon that belonged to the other trainer was now in Naruto's hand, but how? Naruto raised a hand to her question. The Pokeball was able to work on it. It seems that we got lucky that the system thought it was a wild Pokemon. So it's mine, he whispered, falling to his knees, as he was sure that one of his ribs was either fractured or broken. No trouble breathing, so fraction at least. It was good to know he wasn't going to the doctor. The girl leaned down and noticed the robe was slightly ripped at the chest level. You took the hit for me, she whispered, realizing the pain he was in was due to him taking the incoming attack for her sake. It's cool, I'm sure that I've taken worse than this. Naruto chuckled as the time to make a good lie this time. XXXXXXXXXXXX. Docking. The captain shouted as he saw the trio. You can't do this to me. I was going to be the winner of the league. Get the blonde. He stole my Pokemon. Hush, brat, the gigantical large man said, watching two identical police women escorting off the vessel of his ship. Accept your loss, you're clearly no trainer but a bully. Officers Jenny and Jenny, get him out of here. Yes sir, they said, walking away with the still screaming teen, ignoring his complaints as they left their car to send him in for processing. Well, glad they believe me. Naruto deadpan as he and Marnie were walking down the stairs to reach the stone footing of the port they docked in. Considering the whole lie relied on the fact they didn't check the recent shift from that asshole's Pokemon to mine. Single quote. Another trick that he learned, that it took a few hours for the data to officially declare what Naruto caught was indeed a wild Pokemon. It was sheer luck that they took his words for face value, otherwise it was his head being forced down to get into the police car. It was true, especially taming that scary Makuhita, she declared as Naruto nodded, quickly patting his chest as the pain was still there. A bit easier for him to breathe. Hey, I don't suppose you don't mind me coming along with ya? Naruto gave her a quick look of surprise from the offer. No, but why? I am just a stranger to these lands like you. He reminded her, who Marnie in return just shrugged at his answer. Just because of that fact, it's better to trust someone who is just as lost as ya, she said, although it was a bigger reason. She felt bad that he took the attack meant for her, and her brother did raise her up to be a good person, always repaying debts to others' kindness. Despite what she appears and acts at times, Marnie never treated anyone else less than what they treat her. Naruto was a great person, considering he hurt himself for her despite barely knowing her. She was going to help at the very least through their Hoenn League challenge. Anyway, you got the money from the loser trainer and that captain. After seeing Naruto nodded and took out a PDA to show a large, whoa, that's a lot of zeros. Right, Naruto said as the amount that West got him was still staggering. This made Marnie a bit more relieved. This might be good, considering his wealth might make their adventure all the more easy. But first, she grabbed his hand and led him to the town. For one thing, it's enough for a nice new set of clothes and camping equipment for you. Naruto sighed as he allowed her to drag him to get that new clothing that made him stand out less. However, the captain behind them smiled to the last person to leave the ship, a woman glaring at their retreating forms. Ruby-colored eyes glared angrily at the two, or rather the target of said anger belonged to one person, Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto, I shall break you in two. Naruto and Marnie were in a clothing store after their little ship fiasco, as the girl wouldn't allow Naruto to leave until he wore something more modern and less conspicuous. Naruto walked out with a rather amazing suit. You call this less conspicuous? The blonde sighed at the girl's words. He looked down and frowned. He really wished at times he would be back at Snagem. They didn't care if you wore the uniform or have your style. He turned as he saw a set of clothes nearby on the bargain bin. Hold on, he started as Marnie nodded, looking at her phone. You need to get some camping supplies. She said, almost forgetting she had her own, but her brother warned her about sharing it with strangers. So even though she would like to let Naruto in, especially with lots of space, he would have to get his own until she can fully trust him. Right, Marnie smirked at the memory of how much money he had. You might be able to buy the best tent, they have a year's supply of food to go with it. And even then I still believe you have more money to burn. It's not like I have to spend it all at once, Naruto muttered, from the dressing booth. But yeah, I can splurge on getting a good model. He said that unlike in the Ore region, there weren't cheap motels or rooms for him to rent out constantly. Sadly, the Pokemon centers there didn't allow overnight stays for free either, considering it was almost getting a high-end suite at a hotel. Think of it this way, you'll be better off in the long run as you continue on your journey. Marnie pointed out, sometimes trainers don't think ahead, and by the time they realize that they need something essential, it's too late. Yeah, Naruto said as he exited out to the dressing room. I knew that it was hard when I left my home. Still, what do you think of this one? He said, walking out as the girl's mouth made an O shape. His new outfit consists of a short-sleeved blue jacket with beige knee-length shorts, and underneath that, a shiny black wetsuit with teal accenting, that has elbow-length sleeves and nearly full-length legs, but falls short enough to show that he isn't wearing socks. He wore red and black sneakers with white laces, and carried a large white messenger bag with a blue stripe. The girl blinked cutely, as she seemed to be lost in his attire. What is it? No good. Naruto winced, knowing that his sense of style wasn't adequate at best. The girl shook her head lightly, and no, it fits you rather well. She muttered before looking that he also had the suit clothing as well. You're getting that as well. The young man nodded as he shrugged his shoulders. Who knows, might help having a fancy set when we need it. Besides, just another extra set of clothes just in case. He said, knowing the whole igloo incident was something that always made him get two of everything. Poor Freddy, he never made it to Friday. Even Gonzap paid him 5 times for that problem. I'm sorry, what? Marnie asked as Naruto blushed at the small mistake of speaking out loud. Nothing. Don't worry about it, Naruto waved off nonchalantly. Anyways, since we're here, do you want anything from here? He offered the girl, as the girl looked around and shook her head. Nah, besides I got my stuff. But we need you to get some stuff before we head out. She said as Naruto finished the payment on the clothing. She pulled him out of the store as they looked around to see the town they were in, after the Jennies pulled that asshole trainer out from the boat. Little Root Town. She looked at her phone that told her the location they dock. It was relatively bigger than most cities, and yet despite the size of the town, it was rather quaint. There was also a local Pokemon laboratory where beginning trainers can get their starter Pokemon from this region. She heard that the local professor is always out on the field, and being chased around by a group of Puccina or Zigzagoon for whatever reason. Marnie scratched the back of her head. She would have technically permission to pick one of those starters up due to her being a new trainer and also just arrived in the region. But she looked down in her skirt where she had one Pokeball that was in use. But she needed to keep that under wraps as much as possible. Well, she stopped when Naruto stopped to point at the general store. Oh, here we are. Good thing I have a list of things on hand, Naruto said, holding up a piece of paper. 'Cause I'm going to need all of these. As he entered the store, Marnie with a deadpan look walked behind him. So glad you got a big bank account to pay for that, she said, watching Naruto walking and taking items into a cart. Wait, let me ask you something. The punk rock girl started before adding some female products into Naruto's cart, who looked at her. Please. Cracking a smile, he nodded to her request. I figured you were gonna eventually give in. So was that the thing you were going to ask? Marnie pouted at him. Even a girl like me still needs maintenance, and no, what I am asking is that you're going for the gyms, right? I am as well, so you're okay with the fact we might be going against each other in the league? She said, helping Naruto with his list, grabbing some. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with it. Naruto shrugged, before smirking. When we do though, you better not hold back. Because I want you at your best. The girl smirked as she chuckled. Good, so where do you want to go? She said as Naruto looked at her when he was about to choose his tent. What? He asked as the girl looked at him with a confused manner of her own. I asked where do you want to go? Marnie repeated herself. You have a plan on how to go for the gyms, right? There's a plan. He asked the girl not to look alarmed at his words. The girl pulled him to the side where the store had a large map of Hoenn. Okay, here we are. She pointed to a bottom part of the continent where it was above a small island not too far downward. This is Little Root Town, our starting point. From here, we go down Route 101 and after a couple of miles we'll hit Oldale Town. That will be a checkpoint before hitting the nearest gym, which in this case would be Rustboro City. And, that's good, he said as the girl gave a sagely nod. Gym leaders have a system that no matter which one you go first, they go easy on you. She said as she pulled out an empty case. You have to show them whatever badges you have and the level of the difficulty goes up. Save for Sinnoh where the current electric gym leader wants to go last, every gym in the region follows this. Naruto mumbled, embarrassed about that lack of knowledge. After all, our region is a place that lacks any wild Pokemon and that only crime, barely livable areas, and lack of police force are the main reasons why the region never had a real league to be in. Alright then, we go there. He stated as the girl nodded. So you got any Pokeballs that you will need? The girl shook her head, taking out her bag to show multicolored capturing devices. My brother splurged on these for me. Special ones with unique effects, here. She said, passing Naruto an odd one with a red fin on the top of it. Timer ball. For each minute that passes it ups the catching charge. They can do that, Naruto shouted, remembering his father's cruel training on giving him defective Pokeballs to get a better handle on certain throws that will help, and Gonzap, being a cheap asshole, only bought him regular Pokeballs and Premier Balls, since they came for free when he bought a 10 set. Yeah, she then held out a green and black tie-dye colored Pokeball. This one's a dusk ball. It has a better catch rate when catching Pokemon in dark places like caves or at night. Sounds useful, Naruto said at the grim-looking design of the object. Are these exclusive where you are from? Not really, just not in Kanto, Johto, or Hoenn. She replied as the punk rocker pointed to a nearby register that showed a couple other Pokeballs that didn't match hers. Man, I'm really missing out, Naruto muttered with befuddlement in his voice. And who could blame him? Well, since you still have money to spare, better get them while you can. Marnie suggested it to the boy. It would help on his journey. Here, buy 2 of each for us. He said, passing her the cart as he went to do something. Anything else you think we need for the trip? I need to make a quick call. The Gothic nodded as Naruto walked away from her briefly, before taking out his phone to dial a number. Hello, he asked as he heard nothing. Damn, I wanted to make. Ding, you got mail. The young man looked into his PDA and saw it was from Wes. Well, speak of the devil, he said, looking at the message. Can't talk yet, get to a Pokemon Center and ask for a private call. He read aloud, wondering what happened to his friend who helped bust on Team Snagem. There was the problem of shadow Pokemon over the regions that he heard on the news, so hopefully the international police force would be able to help. But it was him and Wes who were the ones who captured stolen Pokemon. So he was pretty sure that if it wasn't for the kindness of the undercover cop, Naruto would have at least been in jail despite helping Wes. So worst case scenario, Leo would just be in some hot water but still able to get off with little punishment. Oi! Naruto turned his head to see Marnie tossing him a large bag. Done. Thanks, Naruto said before noticing the lack of items. Where's the rest? She pointed to the camping gear. That has it, similar to Pokemon boxes that you can store your extra ones in there. You can pay a monthly fee to store items. About 1,000 Pokédollars, which is pretty okay if you are just starting out. But we needed 5, so that's 5 times as much, Naruto said, not really caring for the price but rather happy his traveling companion did that. Thanks, and you're in my own storage, she said, pointing to her own back on her back. Didn't want to make you and I have awkward conversations when I needed them. Gotcha. Naruto nodded. Alright, let's get to a Pokemon Center. I need to make a call. Marnie followed him leave the store. Oh right, we need to see if your ribs are okay. She remembered the dangerous Makuhita that almost seriously hurt if he didn't step up and protect her. She blushed on how gallant he was, almost like the knights of the legends in her region often told to children. I'm fine, really, I've been through worse. Naruto waved off. A punch from a Makuhita is nothing. Bull, Marnie said, stopping her tracks as she stared down Naruto, who also stopped for her. A fighting Pokemon can do really bad damage to you if they are pushed, and that, one. She remembers the intensity it had despite having no emotion she can sense. Naruto lifted his arms in defeat. Alright, I'll check out after my Pokemon get rest first. He said with a chuckle as the girl nodded to his words. What about you? Do you need any of yours to get healed up? No, I have one but he's been okay. But I need to call my brother, to make sure he is doing his job and also to keep him updated. I'm fine. She explained with a roll of her eye on how her brother and the whole town weep at her choice to leave her region. Well okay, if you say so. Naruto shrugged before the two continued on their way to the Pokemon Center. Naruto moved to the counter while Marnie headed towards the call center. A beautiful pink-haired woman stood in front of him. Wearing a pink outfit with a white apron over it, and had a nurse's cap on her head with a golden color cross on it. Her hair was done in an odd 2 large rings on the back of her head. Hello, welcome to the Pokemon Center, how can I help you? The young trainer smiled at the beautiful woman. Yes, would you be so kind and give my Pokemon a checkup? Be careful with my Makuhita, he's been through a lot. I got him from an abusive trainer and he might be a little. He trailed off as the nurse looked on with sadness. Oh my, she said before holding Naruto's hands into her own with caring eyes. You're so kind to do that, I will do my utmost best to help. She promised before Naruto backed away. Something wrong? Besides you're very pretty, he thought before nodding. Yeah, do you have one of those private call rooms? I need to make a private call, and a small checkup for me. He said pointing to his chest. That little guy wasn't able to trust me when I met him, if you catch my drift. The young man explained as the woman looked shocked. Just some minor pain just to check out if I'm okay. Then, I'd rather have my friends check up, the call will be fast and you can help me. He suggested as the woman nodded slowly, not really okay with the idea, but at least he will do it after his call. How much? For you, free, anyone who helps Pokemon like you did doesn't have to pay. She promised. She pointed to the upstairs and passed him a key. Much appreciated. Naruto nodded. Where's the private phone room? Upstairs and 2 doors to your right. Nurse Joy gestured to the escalator. Joy said, lock it as the keys will open any door but another lock will make sure for privacy. She explained as Naruto rushed up there, while also getting his PDA to message Wes on his call. In front of him was a red terminal and comfy chair that was for the users to make their calls. Okay, his number was, Naruto mumbled while making his fingers hit the right nodes to see the screen showing a moving back and forth phone. Come on, pick up. Click. The phone image vanished as Wes' face was on the screen instead. Naruto. Thank Arceus you called, we have a problem. He started as Naruto looked at the background where lots of policemen were moving back and forth in a frantic manner. Naruto, we have a problem. Closing square bracket. That caught the Uzumaki a bit off as Wes was never this unsettled before. What happened? He asked as the tan man rubbed his temples. Where to start? He complained as he spoke. So I'm framed, not sure if it was Gonzap or the man who is using Snagem for the stolen Pokemon. He explained as he typed something to show Naruto an article of black and white photo of Wes stealing a Pokemon with the gauntlet. Wait, what? Naruto gawked. Wes, being framed. Right now, the international police believes me, but we can't expose Snagem or their backers until we get some of the higher-ups in our custody. He explained as the undercover agent hummed in thought. What's odd, is that it's only me. I know they can screw you over but, Gonzap either has something planned for you later or he's letting you go due to how he felt bad about your past, but even his sympathy isn't that big. Do you still have the snag machine? Naruto nodded as he pulled out his arm to show underneath the robe sleeve was the machine. Yeah, just used it. What? Wes' face shifted at the news. To steal a Pokemon that had an odd aura, Naruto was unable to say what he really knew about the shadow Pokemon. Wait, aura, he said, looking away from the screen as he realized something. I heard something when I was drinking with Gonzap that a scientist figured something like a shadow project for Pokemon, and this person I picked up after dropping you off said something like that. Look, where are you now? I'll pick you up and wheel. Why are you making that face? Naruto's face was indeed odd as he looked guilty. A problem, I can't be picked up as I am in Hoenn. Goddammit, alright, where are you? He started as Naruto was about to say until an idea formed in his mind. Wait, I'll be heading to Rustboro City. Can you meet me there? He asked as Wes smirked with a nod. Alright, the machine will be safe until then and I'll explain what I know. The blonde said as the other teen agreed with a silent nod. Okay, I'll also bring my notes on this so we can collaborate. I'll send messages if I arrive before you or something happens to me. He promised as he looked at Naruto with a serious look. I am trusting you to not abuse that machine. The young man gave a grim nod to his friend who ended the call, looking at his right arm to let his mind remember the goal. Save the Pokemon that he hurt by stealing them into these weapons, and save them from their closed-off hearts. I really screwed up, he said softly, knowing his own selfish wish to be free of family's roles and clan duties to only cause others suffering to make his happiness happen. He stood up to leave the room where he saw Nurse Joy talking to Marnie, noticing how they seemed to be happy. Hey, I finished my call. Naruto entered into their conversation as Nurse Joy smiled kindly. How's my team so far? Your Ralts, Vulpix were good little Pokemon, but like you said the Makuhita was a bit odd. Hopefully you can help him open up again, she said sadly, noticing how the Pokemon didn't seem to care about her healing, not even flinching when she used a potion to heal its injuries. I hope so too, Naruto sighed as he took the Pokeballs from Nurse Joy. Still, thank you Nurse Joy. You've been a great help. Now your check-up, she said as the nurse pulled him behind the counter to check his injury. The young man nodded as Marnie came with him, causing Nurse Joy to speak. Sorry, only family. It's okay. Naruto started as the girl looked surprised. She's a friend. The nurse seemed to be with that as they went to the back, where Nurse Joy looked at Naruto's bare chest when parting his robe to show her. Odd. I have never seen a fighting type that hasn't broken a rib before. The fact you have a bruise only is extremely fortunate. She explained before tapping the part gently as Naruto flinched. Apologies for that, just making sure it wasn't too bad. It's fine. Please close your robe again. So will he be okay for the journey? Marnie asked as Nurse Joy nodded, before handing her a small jar. What's this? Ointment from certain berries that help with bruises. I need you to rub it on him before you two sleep. The nurse explained as the young punk attire girl gave a thumbs up on the order. Other than that bruise, I can't see anything else wrong with you. You two can leave now and continue your journey. Thank you, Nurse Joy. Naruto nodded, as he put on his clothes once more. Alright, now that we got the A-OK, shall we get going? Yeah, Marnie said before leaving as the two noticed the day was still up. We got time to stay around or you want to go now to Rustboro City? We head out now, we should be able to get there in a day's walk. She suggested as the two made their way to the street. The blonde seemed to think on it before stopping. I want to check something, he said, taking out his Pokeball. Hup. With a small toss into the air, the device opens to shoot out a white light as Makuhita pops from it. Maku, it said loudly as Marnie took a step back from the incredibly dangerous Pokemon. It's okay Marnie, I got this. Naruto assured the girl. Are you sure? It could attack you again. Marnie looked unconvinced, and she had every right to be. Naruto took a knee to look at it carefully. Naruto, don't. He raised a hand to cut her off, his eyes showing him the red aura it had was still not there. Bo, he said as the Pokemon did the gesture without fail, strike a pose. Naruto next orders as it stands still when slowly raising its fist towards the sky as if winning a match of a lifetime. Stand still as possible. Marnie watched in awe from the sight of the aggressive Pokemon doing its order without fail. I thought it was very easy to trigger. She thought aloud as Naruto shook his head. No, Its trainer's aggressive nature made this little guy become like that. Naruto muttered, scratching the small yellow fighter's head softly. It almost seemed to lean into his kind gesture. Looks like Naruto was making it slowly retain its heart. But the only way for it to feel properly was to purify it as soon as possible. Marnie, we're heading to Rustboro City, right? Turning to see the girl nod to his question. If my dad's right on the other clans being here, then I know one lives nearby Rustboro City near the coast. That would help me find a shrine or somewhere to purify this guy without getting anyone to watch me. Naruto thought to himself before nodding. All right. Naruto nodded before taking out Makuhita's Pokeball and returning him inside. Let's head over there now while there's still light out. Perfect. Let's go now, she said as the two left the town, until someone was watching them from where to stand. Uzumaki, the voice said viciously as a purple and black aura came from a fist that clutched in dark anger. You will suffer for doing this to me. XXXXXXXXX. Wes was starting up his motorcycle as he saw someone coming for him. Getting a taser gun out, he shouted. Don't try unless you want to be stunned with so much volts that even a Pikachu would say, ow. He promised as the person, ept, causing him to look to sigh in relief. Not cool, you almost were on the ground seizing if you got any closer, Rui. In his sights was a red-haired girl who had two top ponytails, wearing a purple top that didn't cover her midriff. A white skirt with pink boots with black high-knee socks. Above her shirt was a jean jacket with pink lining. Around her neck was a black choker with a crescent moon symbol on it. Sorry, it was hard for me to tell my grandparents that I was helping you. The teen sighed, understandable, but I really wish I don't have to. He said as the girl understood, I don't like civilians in this crime that's happened, but they tried to kidnap you before, so you're a target as much as my friend. We'll meet up with him and talk about what to do. Where are we going? The Hoenn region. They're gonna be en route to Rustboro City. So if we wanna leave, we gotta leave now. In that, she said, looking at the heavily customized bike where Wes only said one thing to make sure the conversation ends in his favor. You got money to pay for the trip, he said with a smirk, only for the girl to pull out a bulging wallet. You want first class, she said as if her kind words hurt him, seeing him slump over on leaving his baby behind. Or coach. It's pretty much empty, Marnie said, looking at the forest the two trainers walked since they left the town. I thought Hoenn was teeming with Pokemon. The Galarian girl said as Naruto adjusted his jacket. Some places don't have Pokemon, Naruto said, remembering that his region barely had any wild Pokemon. Even the desert-type Pokemon don't live there due to lack of life or food sources that are the usual find. Are you fine? He asked, turning to see Marnie seemed to slow down her pace a bit. Yeah, I'm good, just not used to taking long hikes. Naruto figured as much. He and Wes were the few members of their team who regularly exercised beside their boss, but he looked at a clearing and tilted his head. Let's take a break and make some food, he said as the girl nodded, happy to take this chance. Upon the arrival of said clearing, they saw there was a small local river, which made it perfect for them to grab water from there. He watched as the girl dipped her head into the stream. Ah, you do realize that fish-type Pokemon used that as a bathroom too, right? He said as the girl continued to let her head in before pulling it out. Guess you didn't hear me. He joked as the girl gave a satisfied sigh from the act. Huh, did you say something? Marnie asked. No, nothing. Naruto shook his head. It was probably for the best. Anyways, I'll go find some firewood for us, while you set up a makeshift camp. Right, the girl said as she saw Naruto was gone from her sight and soon pulled out a Pokeball. Okay, come out. Hitting the button, the machine opened up and a flash of silver light came out and an odd creature came out. Morpeko. A cute rodent came out and hugged Marnie, who she hugged back. She took a look at its light yellow with two large markings on its body. The left side is black, and the right side is brown. Its eyes are black with white pupils, and it has pink spots on its cheeks. It has a small dot for a nose and its mouth has one tooth in it. It has two small ears with one tuft under each one, and its limbs are short. Alright Morpeko, stretch those legs out and come help out making camp. Marnie smiled. More. It smiled back, but took a moment to eat a seed before cutely burning and soon helped Marnie. The girl smiled but at the same time had to be careful with her partner, Galarian Pokémon are never supposed to be left out of the region due to the chairman of the Pokémon League back home. She had to convince her friends back home to help sneak Morpeko out when she made it on the boat. It wasn't long before Marnie and Morpeko had set up the tent and pulled out the picnic table. They even carried a couple buckets of water for them to use. Marnie even took out a water purifier to clean the water out before it could be drinkable. The goth girl smiled at her little friend, before sighing softly, "I'll tell Naruto about you soon, so please don't come out okay." She said, the confused look it had. "I just want to be careful and don't want you to be sent home if he's isn't okay with you here." More. The girl's heart melted at the Morpeko hugging her knee as if he understood. "Thanks, double stuffed sandwich cookies for you next motel we get to," she said, which Morpeko smiled brightly at, before Marnie returned him to his Pokeball. A red beam of energy locked onto the mouse, before turning into red energy and was promptly censored into the ball. "Oh, you already set up camp. That was fast," a familiar voice called out, prompting Marnie to turn around and see Naruto with several tree branches and sticks in hand. "Impressive. I know our camp would be easy for new people, but I guess the money is worth it." "You don't say," Marnie commented. The blonde stacked up the twigs into a small pyramid fashion as he soon pulled some dried leaves and started to make a fire from a match. "Any suggestions for lunch?" he said as the blonde got the fire started and looked for a pan and his basic cooking utensils. Marnie took her backpack and opened it to rummage through the inside, before pulling out packets of instant curry. The blonde glared at her. "I'm going to pretend you suffered a recent head injury or didn't say something the equivalent of a slap to the face to my mother. You get one more chance," he warned as Marnie comically gulped at the rather dark side she just saw. Marnie panicked as she rummaged through her backpack again, throwing out whatever is in there. No, not this one. Oh, I was wondering where that went. No, not even this one. Relax, I can make a decent breakfast sandwich, bacon or sausage for you." Naruto chuckled as the girl was worried. "Bacon's fine," Marnie pouted in embarrassment. Soon the blonde started on his meal, as he spoke while the bacon was frying up. "So where are we going after Rustboro City?" he asked, flipping the bacon stripes to make sure they are perfectly crisp on both sides. "Let's see." Marnie pulled out her Pokephone to check where the next available town or city was. South of Rustboro would be Dewford Town, but we'd have to catch a boat since it's an island town. And north of Rustboro is Fall Arbor Town, and east of it is Verdanturf Town. Naruto nodded his head. "I'm assuming that's where the second gym is." "Dewford Town?" he inquired, knowing that his real goal was to meet up with Wes and get into contact with any of the clans who protect the legendary Pokémon that might be in Rustboro City and anywhere else. "That's right," Marnie nodded. "Right. Mind showing me?" he said, scooting to her side while keeping an eye on the pan. The clans protecting Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza were annihilated during the last Pokémon War. Only the Reggie clans are still around. Naruto took a moment to remember if they were any water-type Reggies, only to shake his head when Marnie showed her the island they will visit. You sure we need to head there? It's where the town's local gym is. The Knuckle badge, if I recall correctly. Right. Naruto is annoyed by the lack of knowledge due to his clan being in a region where gyms were not around. Knuckle, is it a fighting-type Pokémon thing? The girl looked at the blonde oddly. "It's what I believe, but we're focusing on the Rustboro gym. It's a rock-type gym. I need to catch some water or grass-type Pokémon." Right, Naruto nodded. "You don't get out a lot, do you?" Marnie commented. "The Ore region doesn't have gyms. So this is new territory for me. Sorry, I don't like the fact, he mumbled, looking at his side to see. "What the hell is that?" What are you?" Marnie looked at where Naruto was looking, only to pale in horror. "Morpeko, get back in your ball," she panicked. It cried happily when biting the whole breakfast sandwich Naruto made before it waved at the shocked Marnie, while Naruto poked its cheek softly. Its face was sheepish as it realized its mistake. Odd, never seen one of these before. Naruto once again poked its cheek and judged it. "What kind of Pokémon is this guy?" "He's mine, he's from Galar," Marnie said, sitting next to her Pokémon as she hugged it. "Please don't tell anyone. He's your Pokémon." "Why?" The girl sighed as she had no choice now. Galarian Pokemon aren't allowed to leave the region due to the Pokemon League rules back home. She explained as she never knew the reason behind such a absurd rule. Even her brother didn't like the rule and still had to enforce due to his job. That's odd. Naruto raised an eyebrow in perplexion. I could be suspended from the league if I'd get caught without permission from home. She explained as she patted Morpeko, but I couldn't just leave him behind. So, I asked my friends, my gang to help smuggle Morpeko out of Galar. You run a gang? Naruto asked with wide eyes. He certainly wasn't expecting that. Not per se. I'm more like a second in command. My older brother's the actual leader. Naruto's eyes were a bit hardened, but he noticed how the girl seemed more embarrassed than shameful. Alright, I won't say anything, but how will you battle him for the gym? Marnie pulled out a small wallet that had a small piece of paper tucked behind her trainer ID. My brother gave me a permission slip. It's not really official as it's only for the gym leader to look over. And hopefully they won't check further than that. Naruto took the paper to read and examine it, before shrugging and giving it back to her. Like I said, I won't say anything. It's really not my business to begin with anyway. The punk-looking girl smiled. Thanks, I owe ya. And possibly lunch too. She weakly chuckled as the food made her feel slightly guilty. Nah, it's cool, I don't mind. Naruto waved off, pinching the cheek of the odd mouse-looking Pokemon. Never seen a Galarian Pokemon before, looks cute. Wait, you shouldn't. Marnie tried to stop the boy, but surprisingly Morpeko wasn't at all bothered, but rather was affectionate by the gesture. My family knows how Pokemon feel. He was a little peckish, but he's feeling calm, right? He nuzzled the top of its head with his hand, and the mouse nodded its approval. See, he smiled. You can read Pokemon's emotions? Marnie asked with slight awe. I've never heard of such a thing. It's not too hard, it just takes time, he said as he remembered Makuhita, as he couldn't read its heart as an artificial door locked away its heart. Some are. Boom. Whoa, Marnie shouted as the whole forest shook as a loud explosion made the ground vibrate loudly. What was that? Naruto didn't even seem to be fazed as he got a knee and focused his aura on the floor. Ripple, tapping the ground, he visualized the hole around them, soon feeling dozens of feet that didn't belong to them nor Pokemon. He opened his eyes with rage in them. Poachers. The girl's eyes widened at that. Pokemon poachers were the worst scum of the earth. It was one thing to capture Pokemon, but these people rather use violent and even deadly means to capture them for money, whether it be for the actual Pokemon or their unique nature. Poachers. Marnie gasped. How did you know? Call it a gut feeling. Naruto said, standing up. We'll have to come back for the stuff later. Right now, we gotta find those scumbags. I could use your help. I've got your back, she promised as she followed Naruto deeper into the forest, where they soon heard more explosions and soon the smell of smoke wafted into the air. The two teens watched as they saw a group of men tossing ultra and great balls to dozens of Pokemon, while some of the less impressive ones used net launchers to capture many more. Boss, the fortress did their job. Thinking fast, Naruto pulled Marnie to a thick group of trees and kept his hand over her for a month. Listening to the conversation the people were saying, he and Marnie barely saw a green cloth man who seemed to be the boss, given his nodding to the subordinate. Good. Any more we can snag? Just here in this area. What do we do with the fire the Pineco caused with their explosions? Let it burn. It'll smolder out eventually, the green-dressed leader said before passing his worker a plastic bag filled with yellow diamond-shaped items. Get these useless Pokemon working with these revives. Might as well overwork them since we don't need them after this. Sons of, Naruto growled, but related in doing something as he saw the leader of the group walking away. Soon he let go of Marnie, who also had the same enraged look on her face. What moves can your Pokemon do? He whispered to her ear. Marnie pulled up her Pokédex and did a check. Aura Wheel, Crunch, Bullet Seed, and Scary Face. Is that enough? Naruto nodded, pointing at the minion who had the bag of revives. Bullet Seed him and I can handle the rest, he said, taking out Ralts and his Vulpix. Ralts Psychic on the idiot's Pokeballs and Vulpix Flame Wheel on the rest of their Pokemon. The feeling Pokemon nodded, and their eyes glowed a bright blue under their mask, enveloping their body as well. The Pokeballs glowed the same color and floated up and away. Huh, what the? One of the grunts noticed the Pokeballs floating up, the rest of them soon followed, floating up to a height to where they can't reach it. Meanwhile, Vulpix had fire coming out of their mouth, then curled into a ball to which they sped fast towards the Pokemon doing the dirty work, knocking them over. Now, Morpeko, use Bullet Seed, Marnie said, tossing out her Pokemon as the mouse Pokemon spat out yellow seeds of energy at the creep with the bag of max revives, causing them to involuntarily drop them to the ground. Hey, who the? Soon the blonde rushed forward using ropes that he intended to be a trail of breadcrumbs out of a cave or something. Soon the grunts were all tied up as Naruto and Marnie walked towards them. Bloody hell, that was fast, Marnie said as she couldn't believe how Naruto was that quick. Yeah, it's something of a specialty for me. Naruto shrugged his shoulders. So, what now? Marnie asked. Are we gonna call the authorities? No, he said, looking at the grunt. He wasn't wearing any Snagem clothing nor anything from our region to be any of the groups from there. Who do you work for? Ha, like I'd tell. Snap. Marnie gasped as she saw Naruto grab the man's finger and snap the other direction. Erg. He saw the man squirmed on the floor as the blonde looked down from above. Wrong answer. Let's try this again. Who do you work for? He repeated the question. Next time it's an ankle, Naruto warned, placing his foot over the man's ankle, and warning. It's a bitch to heal. All right, I'll tell you, the man shouted in fear, not wanting the boy to break more of his body. I'm getting impatient, Naruto warned as the grunt nodded. I just worked today. I used to run with chasers in the OR region. I got hired by the leader of this team because I was able to get cheap revives. The scared man said frantically. I need a name. I don't know. They didn't give me one. That's all I know, I swear to Arceus. Wait, I can tell you why we're really here, he said as Naruto let his foot down to make the man nodded feverishly. Tricos, he spat out. There's a group of Tricos boss's boss, said to capture as many as we can for something called the Shadow Project. We're going to raze down the area with these damn fortresses in hopes to find them. Shadow Project, Naruto frowned in contemplation. Are they trying to make more Shadow Pokemon again? If that's the case, then. Gonzap, you heard of him? Naruto demanded as the man nodded. He pulled out a stack of bills and said, yeah, he was the guy who hired us. Someone stole something from him that helped him getting rare Pokemon, so, his eyes became heavy and fell back as Naruto looked down to see his Kirlia, Luna, using hypnosis on the grunt. Good, Naruto said, looking at the knocked out fortresses, and looked at Marnie. Stay here and give this to them, I'm going to stop these punks. Wait, are you sure you can handle them by yourself? Marnie asked incredulously. Naruto gave a smirk that Marnie's heart skipped a beat on how confident and dashing he looked. Didn't stop me before. Soon he ran straight forward to help the Pokemon and to get some damn questions. XXXXXXXXXXXXX. Line break. XXXXXXXXXXX. The blonde jumped from tree to tree as he scanned and used his eyes glowing with blue energy, seeing a dozen amounts of Pokemon around him. Sensing no Tricos, he continued to charge forward. Where are you? Naruto muttered to himself. They couldn't have gone too far. Ko. The blonde ears perked up and looked down and looked at horror at the sight. No, he dropped down to the ground and saw a little blue creature in front of him. CKO, Trey. It was a Trico, a shiny Pokemon variant no less. And by the looks of it, the shiny Trico didn't look so good. In fact, it looked worse for wear. It was weak and exhausted from whatever happened to it. Naruto could tell that it wasn't in immediate danger, but knew that he had to help it as soon as possible, or else its condition could get worse. Hold still, I keep a couple potion on. He watched as the weakened Trico tried, his hand away. Listen, if I don't do this you get seriously hurt, he said, ignoring the Pokemon's struggling attempts to not let him help it. Soon Naruto used the recovery item and the being once more perked up and stood glaring at Naruto. There we go, you should be good for now. At least until we reach a Pokemon Center. Naruto nodded. It swung its little tail at the blonde, who merely raised his arm to block, before grunting in pain at the strength little Pokemon gave him. Reforming his muscles with vigor, he pushed it back and saw the shiny Pokemon about to fight again. I'm not here to hurt you. He winced. Trico. Trico. It pointed at Naruto, or more specifically, his Pokeballs. The blonde looked down and realized it must have been attacked by the group he was looking for. No, I'm not the one that. Trico. I'm not lying to you. He said before taking a knee and spoke softly. Feel my aura. Naruto sighed in a tone of relaxation, making his aura slowly dissipate as the Trico felt more at ease when Naruto returned slowly and surrounded the two. I'm here to help explain what has happened. The blue gecko Pokemon stay silent before it pointed at his capturing devices before point at himself. Someone like me tried to capture you. It nodded before pointed to the left, as it once again pointed itself and brought its arms together as if telling a large size. More of your kind is over there. Trico. The wood gecko Pokemon nodded. Those punks brought lots of explosive Pokemon, literally. The former Snagem member dead man as the Pokemon before him looked startled. Trico. Don't worry, that's why I'm here. Naruto said, as he stood up. My job's to stop people like them from doing any more damage. And I swear to you, I will rescue your friends. Whatever it takes. Trico. It soon rushed looking back at Naruto. Ko. The blonde smirked as it was telling him to hurry up. Cocky little guy, let's do it. XXXXXXXXXXXX. Line break. XXXXXXXXXXX. Get them all. A green Kamen Rider inspired dressed man said, as he pointed to his men who were capturing Tricos in nets and metal crates. You idiots didn't bother to get as many Pokeballs as we needed, so have to transport these little bastards back to Professor Ain's ASAP. Yes sir. The grunts answered as one. Hurry it up. Move it. On the double. We don't have all day. The green-dressed man shouted. The sooner we finish, the better we get out of this region. Sir. Yes sir. What the hell? Naruto said as he and Shiny Trico looked to see oddly dressed men and women similar to green-dressed men looking at the dozens of Tricos who were being captured against their will. They aren't with Snagem, Naruto whispered. Snagem was all posted on the police department database, so it would make sense to outsource to other people to get Pokemon, considering he stole their best way to capture high-level Pokemon via Snagem machine. But never back in Ore region he saw these guys in his homeland. True, he went to 2 cities, but those were the biggest ones out of the whole region. 15. Not good if any of them are really working for Snagem. They have. He looked at the recent Pokemon he stole and remembered that punch when he first met it. If that's what one did, I don't want to imagine a group of them. Trico nearly went forward until Naruto pulled it back as he saw Marnie, who was on the other side. Looking at his PDA, Naruto sent a message to Marnie. Have an idea, you good at picking locks? He sent the message where he saw the girl looking at her phone before locking her eyes to his, nodding as Naruto resumed typing. When you see the sign, get those Tricos to run. Once again he saw the punk girl look at her phone and nod, although look a bit confused on the sign. What did Naruto mean by sign? He couldn't possibly mean. Hey! Naruto shouted as he stood up from his spot as every single member of the poachers looked at him. He lifted his arm as the green dress man's eyes widened behind his visor. It was the Snagem machine. Any women or men who have the balls to take this, I dare you. Naruto said as he started to run towards the giant tree nearby. Get that traitor and the Snagem machine. 5 times bonus pay and any pics of the new Shadow Pokemon line after this mission. The green leader said as the members of the Team Snagem hired all the pulled-out stun guns and batons to beat Naruto for his stolen device. Marnie fought the urge to facepalm. That was the signal. What is he thinking? She was curious about the machine, but she had a job to do. Gotta thank bro for losing his car keys so much for me to do this. Marnie pulled out a standard lock-picking box as she started to do her work, and saw the frightened faces of the Tricos. She nodded to them gently. Shish, we're getting you out of here. She promised as she got to work. XXXXX. How is he moving like that? A female grunt shouted as it seemed Naruto split into 5 different spots only for her to get a gut punch from him when she hesitated on which one to hit. Gah! Another grunt went down as the shiny Trico also helped knock out, slamming its tail on the peon's head. Naruto saw more coming in and forced his aura to split and dodge another attack. Most people can't see aura, But when high off adrenaline and a good goal like getting laid, their state of awareness is heightened, allowing him to make his aura to be seen as almost false illusions of himself. What they see is nothing but air as he takes advantage of their stupor and wham! 3 more fell unconscious as he landed another series of blows. His people were never fans of killing unless to keep their location a secret. But a good beat down, something they managed to master easily to keep secrets and trespassers away. "Why, you little," one of the grunts growled, lunging at him, but Naruto dodged to the side and did a swift chop to the neck. "Anyone else?" Naruto retorted. "Come on, he can't get us all at once." Another grunt, with the last 7 of the peons all attacking at once. "Dodge this retard." Outnumbered and outmatched are 2 completely different things. Naruto said, once more using the technique, and merely took a step back as one grunt tasered his friend, which made the other toss his weapon that knocked another, and it soon became a domino effect as the rest fell down without laying a hand on them this time. "And there's also a chance you can knock each other out, idiots." Soon he heard clapping in a slow and condescending manner. He turned to see the green dress member of the group. "Impressive. I heard the Golden Snagem Fox was a real fighter compared to these babies here in Pampa regions," the man said as he walked up to the blonde, stopping a yard away. "Hey Missy, be careful there," he said as Naruto looked to see Marnie still working on the cage until a yellow-skinned Pokemon walked up to her. Naruto saw it had curled leaves around its neck and a single razor-sharp leaf on its head. "A bayleaf," Naruto whispered before realizing another thing. It was glowing dark. It was you bastard. Naruto shouted as he saw the usual peaceful Pokemon was empty in its eyes. "And what are you getting so worked up about? That bayleaf is now closed off," the blonde said, feeling disgusted as he remembered his part in doing this. But it just confirmed what he and Wes were now worried about. Someone is snagging more Pokemon, as he never caught a bayleaf back in the Ore region. "Yeah, it seems these starter types are pretty strong when the process is done on them," the green leader said as he snapped his finger as the creature was ready to toss its head back to send Marnie some bladed nature objects at her. "Let's make a deal." Marnie slowly continued to undo the lock, even though the sight of an emotionless leaf Pokemon was staring at her. "Where is that sweet spot?" the punk-looking girl mumbled softly as she kept an ear out to listen. "I'll make a deal, we'll battle," the green leader stated. "Your Snagem machine, and all the Pokemon we captured. You win and all the Pokemon we caught get to go free. But if I win, I take your Snagem machine and your Pokemon, and you'll let me and my goons go." "Wait, that's illegal, gah." Marnie held her tongue as Bayleaf stepped towards her as its leaf was pointed at her. "Or rules," Naruto said as the green dress man nodded, taking off his belt, which showed a small taser and phone, and tossing it to the side. Soon Naruto tossed his bag near it. "Or rules state one thing. If the party agrees, then they have to respect the outcome. The few people who broke that rule, well, let's say the police are still looking for their bodies. Even scum in that region have to agree or there will be no battle." 3-0-3, Naruto stated, looking at his Makuhita Pokeball, and gulped at the remembrance of his recent injury. "Agreed," the green-dressed man said, before taking out his Pokeball. "Grimer, get in there," he said as the man looked over at his bayleaf. "Get over here, no need to watch her now," he said as the creature relaxed and walked over to its master. "Grimer, Grimer," the sludge Pokemon called out, as Naruto tossed out his Pokemon. "Makuhita, standby for orders," Naruto said as Marnie seemed shocked by his choice. "I better start getting used to training shadow Pokemon in case I can't purify them ASAP. It will provide me some details on their behavior in case it tries to go rampant again," was Naruto's thoughts as he saw fighting Pokemon standing perfectly still. "A Makuhita, huh, must be that one we lost recently," the green-dressed man scoffed. "This will be over quickly. Grimer, use Sludge Bomb." The sludge Pokemon reared its body back and hurled out of its mouth a large glob of poisonous goop at the guts Pokemon. "Foresight," Naruto orders as the closed eyes of Makuhita slightly open as a white gleam appears next to its eye and dodge the attack. Follow it up with Shadow Rush. It ran forward, gathering black energy as it swung its fist at the poison type, practically sending flying as it smashed into a tree. "Grim, it grunted as the foul-smelling Pokemon fainted, with its eyes turning into swirls. "So he has a shadow Pokemon," the opponent of Naruto mumbled. "Verde will beat you." Better take that runt out now, Spoink, your turn. He shouted as he recalled Grimer and sent another Pokeball out as a gray-skinned pig Pokemon stood or rather jumped on its curly tail that looked like a spring glared cutely at Naruto. Oh my Arceus, that Pokemon is so cute, Marnie gushed in her thoughts, but then shook her head. No, concentrate. I have to work on this lock, she said. Still working on the lock despite the man promising them, she still moved her hands while watching the Bayleaf carefully. Makuhita, can you keep going? Naruto asked the Guts Pokemon, to which it turned around and gave a simple nod. Foresight, Naruto shouted as the guy's Pokemon prepared for an attack only for Makuhita to lose focus as it was lifted up. Maku, and swung down to the floor hard. Shit, Naruto shouted as the man counted to make the psychic Pokemon easily handle his shadow Pokemon. Sand attack, Naruto said as Makuhita punched a huge amount of sand towards Spoink, but this was all Naruto could do. Watching his shadow Pokemon steadily losing health. Maku, it weakly said as Naruto used his Pokeball to return it before it lost consciousness. He looked at the machine as he gave a kind nod. You did well, he stated as he pulled up Kurama's Pokeball. Kurama, move on command. He shouted as his Vulpix appeared and glared at its enemy. Flamethrower. Spoink Psybeam. The green peon leader shouted as Spoink, a little gem on its head shot out a multicolor thin beam of energy at the fox flaming blast dispersed. Dodge it, Naruto called out as the fox Pokemon managed to move out of the way. Vol. The fox rushed forward and Naruto commands bite. He shouted as the red-furred animal slid down dodging another Psybeam where it bit roughly its tail and swung to the ground and again, and 3 more times before flying towards the cage where Marnie dodged. Pix. It snarled as Spoink fell unconscious, the green-colored leader smirking as he returned his Pokemon back. Bayleaf attack, he said as the Bayleaf yelled out as it charged at Vulpix, take down. Dodge and use Will-O-Wisp, Naruto commanded. Vulpix however couldn't move fast enough as it was hit by the heavy 4-legged creature, but as it was in the air it spun as blue ethereal flames were dancing around it and the flames went towards Bayleaf who suddenly engulfed in flames for a few seconds. Burned, Naruto whispered with a smirk, but soon Vulpix was now limping as it landed on the ground. You did good, Kurama. Return, he said, before pulling out his Pokeball and returning it inside. The former criminal looked at his other Pokemon Kirlia. It wasn't going to survive a physical confrontation from that beast. Trico. The blonde looked at the ground to see that shiny Trico tugging his pants. It soon bumped its fist on its chest as if to say, let me. You want to fight alongside me? Naruto asked in surprise. Trico. It pointed to its people as Naruto smiled. He once did everything to escape home, but would die for them. Get ready, he said using his PDA to scan his new ally and smiled at its moves. Let's do it. Ha, that shrimpy blue bean versus my evolved Shadow Bayleaf, he said as Trico cracked its knuckles as if bored. Trico, use Bullet Seed, Naruto said. Trico. The wood gecko Pokemon opened its mouth and fired a volley of energy at Bayleaf. Shadow Rush. The green trainer shouted as Bayleaf shouted as it copied the same move as Makuhita, gaining a dark aura as it charged towards Trico as it blasted through the bullet rain. Dodge and use Pound. The shiny Trico jumped then dived down while curling itself into a ball, before uncurling and smacking Bayleaf straight on the head with a loud thwack. Asterisk. Bay. It shouted as it shook a bit, but it tried to stomp off the small creature before it leapt over it and shot more seed bullets. Bayleaf. Once again it tried to move only for its enemy to keep escaping. The hell is wrong with you? Hit it. The green leader shouted as he couldn't understand why his strongest Pokemon couldn't hit that little thing. Naruto smirked as he spoke. Bayleaf are pretty powerful Pokemon indeed, but they are heavier and often slowly, compared to pre-evolutions. So my Trico can outrun it as it will take it down. Damn it, no choice, Shadow Rush. The green leader commanded as Bayleaf backed off and gained another dark aura. Wait for it, Naruto said as Trico looked at the blonde before realizing what he was planning. Go, Verde ordered as Bayleaf charged in. The blonde eyes widened as Bayleaf's front legs were about to hit the ground. Now, grass, not when it's about to move its front feet again. Trico slapped its hands together and slammed them towards the ground as the bayleaf feet were tangled by strengthened grass knots, making it fall face first into ground hard. What? Now's my chance, Naruto said, as he activated his Snagem machine and a Pokeball appeared. No time for protocol, snag ball, go, he shouted, throwing the ball towards Bayleaf, watching the giant claw of energy snag up Bayleaf as it rumbled, before it successfully caught it. I win. The green peon made a fist before taking a breath. Or rules applies, your girlfriend should be finished with the lock. He turned his back as he walked away as Marnie stood up. Whoa, he's not going to leave without Naruto stops Marnie from speaking anymore. The blonde looked at the defeated peons that didn't have the brains to fight him normally with Pokemon. If he broke the rules he would be kicked out of the region he lives in, way worse than just losing a job. The green trainer nodded to that truth, but one thing, who are you working for? Don't ask me, I'm just a grunt working for Cypher, he said, walking towards the forest. Trico. The shiny wood gecko Pokemon rushed towards his friends. As Naruto smiled at the scene, he frowned at the name the enemy gave him, Cypher. He whispered as Marnie smiled as she saw his frown. Hey, cheer up, you saved them. Poor guys can at least be safe now, she said as Naruto nodded but didn't help him relax. He has to find West to talk on this more. In his time in OR or in Team Snagem he never heard of a team named that before. Yeah, I guess, alright, Naruto said, before approaching the group of Tricos. You all better get going and find a safer home where those poachers won't go after ya. Trico. The shiny Trico walked up to him as it pulled on Naruto's pants leg. Trico. Tree. What, you want to come with me? Naruto asked in surprise. But what about your friends? Trico. Trico. It pointed to them, which many of them nodded, telling Naruto its choice was okay. Soon it gazed towards Naruto, who smiled kindly. He pulled out a Pokeball and lightly tapped the blue gecko. The ball then opened up and blue wood gecko turned into red energy and was censored it into the ball and closed it. Wooble. Asterisk. Ping. Asterisk. Welcome to the team. Naruto smiled as he looked at his newest Pokemon. Thanks, might give you a nickname later. He ponders as he looks at Marnie, who soon lost her smile. Naruto looked worried as she spoke about something he forgot to keep secret. Marnie, what's wrong? How did you capture that guy's Pokemon? She asked as Naruto's eyes widened, realizing he was caught. It's a long story, he said as the girl took a seat waiting for him to start. It started when I ran away from my family. XXXXXXXXXX. Wes and Rui arrive in Hoenn as the sand hair color agent huffs at the warm weather. Not as bad as OR, but I hate heat. So this is Hoenn, huh? Rui said, taking in the scenery. I kinda like this place already, she said, smiling as she was happy to be away from kidnappers. Give it a rest, Rui. We're not here for sightseeing. Wes sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Naruto won't be here for a while. We gotta keep busy, he said as the undercover cop moved towards the road that will take him towards the nearest police station to let them know about his job. Rui's eyes wandered around before she gasped, watching someone pass by her with a malicious black aura who looked at Rui. Her shiny jewel blue's eyes met with the person blood red color eyes. The person took a step closer as the girl took a step back, worried for her life. That's Rui. Come on, hurry up, Wes called out, snapping the girl out of her stupor. Rui didn't need to be told twice as she ran towards where Wes was, as she couldn't understand how someone could have a black aura-like shadow Pokemon. Where are you, Uzumaki? The person asked, watching and waiting for her target, who made feel like this. Where are you? Thanks.